Wah! Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. I was gonna wait for a little bit longer, cause I I still need to show myself in some places, but I was so excited to go and talk to you guys that I decided to come and say hi. Hello. Hi. Hello. Hello. How are you guys doing? You guys having a good, what day is it today? Monday. Are you guys having a good Monday? I hope you guys are having a good Monday. Oh no, scary stories. Hello. Alright, give me a moment. Give me a moment, and I'll be with you guys. Okay. Will you guys tell me about the weather where you are? Will you guys tell me about the weather? Good Monday. Good Monday. I hate Mondays. Haha. Get it? I'd actually. Saying that makes me kind of want lasagna. I'm not gonna lie. You guys know I love lasagna. Lasagna is like my favorite meal. Lasagna is my favorite meal. Alright. However, right? Yeah, I'm excited to get spooked. I'm excited. Alright, let me say hi to everyone. Hello Nanashi, and thank you very much for the resub. Thank you so much. And holy shit, it's been 5 months. What the fuck? Hello Aqueous, hello Oxide, hello Shinhailis, hello Lishev, hello Herd, hello Mario Rossi, hello Tamero, hello Elias, and hello Cloth Racer, whoa, and hello Mundo, and hello, thank you so much for the resub, Elliot, thank you so much, right, okay, So I was thinking about what stories to read. I was thinking about some stories to read. And oh, and Eggy wants, hello Robert. Eggy wishes for a bird noise. I will give you a bird noise. I'm gonna give you my best impression of a majestic eagle. Quah! Quah! That sounded more like a seagull. I'm very sorry. However, right. I have been playing. Okay, this isn't really a scary story. This isn't a scary story. I just want to say hi. But I mean, maybe it's scary for people that have played the game before. But I've gotten back into playing Warframe. A seagull with a pretty good eagle cosplay. A seagull going to Comic-Con. But yeah, I have gotten back into playing Warframe. And another bird noise? Okay. What bird noise? What bird noise? I'll do a pigeon noise. A pigeon noise. There you go. What do you mean cover myself up? Oh, don't look at my skirt. Don't look at my skirt, you dirty. Ew. Ah. But yes, I've been playing Warframe, and Warframe is a very grindy game. I'm sorry for drinking, but Warframe is a very grindy game. And hello Vice, greetings. And as I have been playing Warframe, I have been listening to something that a friend of mine introduced me to, which are scary green text readings written by I know someplace, and then they get like a computer robotic voice to like read them out with like unsettling music behind it, and it's actually been really unsettling. They're actually really unsettling. So I was going to read some green text stories today, if that's okay. Now obviously because they're kind of not really written in a traditional story format, if you get what I mean. If you've seen like green text stories floating around before, you know what I mean. Like they're pretty ubiquitous. Yeah, I I've seen them a lot on Reddit and stuff like that. So yeah, like who was phone? Yeah. And then Mario's eyes there bleeding. Oh, hyper realistic blood in a Pokemon game. Oh my god, dude, that's so scary. But yeah, so that's what I was gonna do. I was gonna read some stories written by a dude who is a taxi driver in Maine. Maine as in Maine. I don't know where in America that is, but it is in America. And it is a very spooky place. Stephen King, for some reason, sets all of his fucking books in Maine. Uh, I don't know why, but he just does. So I'm gonna read some of those, if that's okay. Now I will warn you. Yeah, Maine. What is the Stephen King? Exactly. Egg, you know. Fucking everything, every single book of his happens in Maine for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just a haunted place. It's just a haunted ass place. But yes, I'm going to be reading some scary stories. I'm gonna be reading some scary stories. Now Cloth Racer has edited. Now it's funny that you've it's the furthest north and east state in the US. Oh, I thought it was way more south than that. Okay, thank you for telling me that. Oh, Maine's a state. Wait, what? Maine isn't a state. Is Maine a state? Is Maine a state? I thought it was a city. Oh, it is a state. I thought it was just a city. Wow, you learn something new every day. But anyway, right? Anyway, okay. Cloth Racer has kindly edited 2 spooky buddies, right? Oh, you're getting spooky spuddies. You're getting spooky spuddies. There's a little spuddy zombie. Oh no, little spuddy zombie, a little spuddy Dullahan. Oh, very spooky. These are, of course, by Cloth Racer. Thank you so much for these, Cloth Racer. Thank you so much for these wonderful, wonderful little spuddies. And I guess I'll give you 2 normal spuddies as well. I'm gonna put all of them out. Fuck it. We're gonna give you all the spuddies. There you go. Have all of them. Spooky spuddies. We're just gonna throw all of them out. We're just gonna throw out all of them. It's part of New England, so maybe just a Lovecraft thing. Oh, Lovecraft did a lot of the New England stuff, right? I like Spudian. Yeah, Spudian's cute, isn't he? He has a little tummy button. It looks like all the normal Spuddies are just like huddling in a corner away from the spooky Spuddies. But anyway, right? Let us begin, right? I have some spooky ambient music I'm gonna play. So let's start with that. Right. Oh, this is very spooky, isn't it? Is the music okay? Ooh, spooky. Wow. Ooh. Okay. This also might get me DMC'd, I don't know. So we're gonna oh, dark. Wait, no. There's dark atmospheric music from the Shadowlands. Is this spooky? I think this is spookier. Yeah, I think this music's probably spookier. So we're gonna listen to this music because it's very spooky. Okay. So we're gonna start off with some spooky stories. Okay. Right. 1 second. Let me just move my microphone a little bit over. Hey, we'll see if it stays spooky or becomes spoopy. Is there a big difference? Okay. Be me, young taxi guy, driving along a native tribe named Lake. See kid walking by the side of the road. 11:30 p.m. Kids dressed in sweat-stained t-shirt and sports shoes or sports shorts with no shoes. Pull off. Unlock door and ask him to get in. Nice guy taxi driver. Kid gets in, thanks me for the ride. Turn up air conditioner to keep him cool. Tells me he's going up to the head of the lake where his parents live. Drop him off, tell him to get some shoes. He laughs and goes inside. Pick up newspaper a couple of days later. Kid is dead. Drunk driving. He drove into the lake. Find out from a cop buddy that the kid's body was in the car. It happened 2 hours before I picked him up. I still get the heebie-jeebies every time I drive by that lake. Woo! Woo! But did he pay for the cab? No, dude, because your man just picked him up. He was a nice dude. He was like, you know, I'm gonna pick you up, right? He didn't pay for the cab. He didn't pay for the cab because he didn't ask for cab fare. Come on, Carabide. Come on, Carabide. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I ended up laughing. You won't get haunted. Okay. Right. Listen. Right, that one. Right, that got. Hello, Royce. That one. Hello. That one wasn't even really that scary though. That one was literally just like, oh, a dude sees a dead kid. Oh my god, scary. Oh no, I can't say that. I can't say that on stream. Oh no, that's a big no. I was gonna say a really awful joke. I'm not gonna say it though. Oh, I already have. Oh, they're all out. Royce, they're all out. All the spuddies are here. All the spuddies here. I'm sorry. Let me refund you your points, dude. Wait, why did you get that? There should only be like. Oh no, I did put all of them out. Never mind. You're not getting your points. You're not getting your points. Your points would be eaten by the point machine. I'm sorry. Refund me 10k? No. You get nothing. Maybe you should have counted my spuddies that were out first, huh? This is your own foolishness. This is the result of your own foolishness, Royce. However, this isn't the stock market. Okay, you don't get stuff back. What do you mean this is what you get for giving points to the Irish, huh? That's like the worst trade I've ever had. What do you mean? You get to hear my adorable laughter when I laugh at you for you know, for not for not giving you your points. That should be plenty of payment enough, right? Right? That should be plenty of payment enough. Hey, okay. However, let's go on to the next story. Okay, let's go on to the next spooky story. Okay. Get a call to pick up at the south end of the county. Tiny woodland town, maybe 500 residents. No gas station. That's how tiny it is. It's 8 p.m. at night. Late dusk, in other words. Still light, but limited. My headlights are on. I'm logging the run while waiting for a customer at his trailer, which sits right next to a cliffside/earth bank thing leading to a stream below. I toot the horn because I waited 5 minutes and nothing. I see a tall, shadowy figure rising up from the bank. I figure it's the guy. It is. He gets in the back and asks to go to McDonald's, which is like 30 minutes away. I tell him the fare. He's cool with it. We roll up to Mickey D's and roll down the rear window so he can order himself. The dude orders 85 cheeseburgers, 100 large fries, and 15 chicken wraps. The girl on the mic is like, what the fuck is this guy on? It takes 30 minutes to get the food ready. I take him home. I ask him why all the food. For my friends who live in the woods. Friends? These guys hate electricity. Hermits, huh? McDonald's big in the hermit community? He says, hey man, don't knock it, okay? They saved me from the demons that live in my house. Cool guys. They just want fries and burgers in return? They're nice like that. The fare is like $45. He hands me $200 and asks me to help him bring the stuff to the edge of the bank. I get out and move stuff over. It's too dark to see anything but the water. I hear a bunch of bags being opened and happy grunts. I shake my head and get back in the car and nope the fuck out of there. Another day, I get a call from Central about picking up the Burger Baron again. It's noontime. Sure, I can spot his friends if you want my beef jerky. I assume he means, if they want to eat him or something, right? I roll up to find the to BB, as in the Burger Baron has axed the telephone pole next to his trailer down. There's no power to the house now. How did he call? A cell phone probably? Whatever, the doodle is loaded. I toot the horn, and the guy comes over the ridge. Bro has gone full Grizzly Adams. It's been like 2 weeks since Burger Stock down by Burger Stock like Woodstock. It's been 2 weeks since Burger Stocked down by the stream. Fur coat, raccoon hat. He smells like beef stew. Hey, it's you again, he says as he gets in the back again. Yeah, how are your friends? Awesome, he says. We all live in the woods now. I reply, yeah? Get the fur coat at Goodwill? Nah, man, my friends made it for me. The hat too? Nah, my cousin bought it for me from Cabela's. It's cool, it's a cool hat. I say, where are we headed, Chief? He says, up the mall. It's like 130 up there, man. You're sure? It's all good. I take him to the mall upstate. He falls asleep in the back. He sleeps like a baby back there. I almost forgot he was here if he didn't smell like soup. When we get there, he flashes a 50 and says he'll tag that on top of everything, including a tip, if I come in and push the cart. Whatever, I'm up for it. We go into the home supply store and he buys blankets, jackets, tents, etc. Are you building an encampment? Sure am, Uncle Josh. I say, I'm David. He says, no, you're Uncle Josh. I reply, hey man, you're paying waiting time so you can call me Mama if you want. You're such a coward, Uncle Josh. It's time to check out. I start down the pots and piles aisle. The guy leaps in front of me, shoves me and the cart back. Uncle Josh, are you crazy? They'll eat you. Pardon me to fuck, Chief. I didn't see him. Holy shit, he's legitimately insane. He grabs one of the blankets and drapes it over me as he holds me like an injured soldier and takes me to the checkout. The girl at the counter giggles. They'll eat me, I tell her, winking. She nods slowly as she's scanning the tags. He ponies up $500 in cash and tells her to keep the change, and I load up the car. Where to now, Daddy Morebucks? He laughs and tells me to take him home, and falls asleep again. I get him home. He puts $300 in my hand and kisses my cheek. Ew. See you soon, Uncle Josh. He waves to me as he starts throwing blankets and tents down the embankment. I shut the trunk and I cruise away. Burger Baron doesn't ride anymore. The last time I talked to him, he called Central and asked for Uncle Josh. The office knows that's my nickname, I guess. I get on the phone. Hey Chief, it's been a few months. How are you and your friends? We're good. Listen, Josh, this is important. I put him on the speakerphone. The whole office shuts up and leans in. Okay, Chief, what is it? Josh, the dog catches the clover, and he hung up. Boom, done. And I haven't heard from him in 3 years. To be honest, that wasn't really a scary story. That was just about a fucking dude eating a load of burgers, dude. I don't really know how to, oh my god, look at him. Wow. Oh, he's alive. Oh no. Ah. I don't really know. I don't really know what to make of that. Sounds like a good time. Yeah, it does. $300 and a kiss? What? Yeah, lucky guy. I don't know why he's like. That is a lot of burgers. Honestly, you know what? There's been days. You know, my brother. My brother, we used to like go to McDonald's. Whenever he'd get drunk and go to McDonald's, he used to order like, you know, the little hamburgers. They're like €1 each, and he used to order like just like 8 hamburgers to eat. Also, hello, Miguel. Miguel, I will give you a bird noise. The bird noise I will give to you is what kind of bird noise? What kind of bird noise? What bird noise would you like? Do you have a preference, or should I just do a try and do a seagull? I'll do a seagull based burger, brother. A spooky bird, like a crow. What does a crow sound like? A crow sounds like ah 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 ah. There's your crow. It's a bad crow. I'm sorry. Yeah, I listen. It kind of sounded like a crow. Okay, that's as good as you're gonna get. Whenever I go to McD's, I always just get the cheap burgers too. Honestly, they're really good. Hamburgers, you can't knock a hamburger, dude. You can't knock them. They're good. They're good. They're good burgers. Okay, this one's spooky. This one is spooky. This one is a spooky one. Okay, this one is a spooky one. Right? This is a spooky one. Okay. Also, sorry if the stream is like really shitty. I don't know. I don't know. Listen, right? It's okay. It's okay. You've never had a fast food hamburger in your life. Oh my god. I mean, you're not really missing out on that much. Let's be real. Let's be real. I get orders from Central that I'm supposed to spend the weekend at a ski lodge downstate with one of the company's valued customers. This means that I get to drive the Escalade, heated leather seats, navigation, satellite radio. It also means I get to hang out with ski bunnies all weekend between trucking high mucky mucks between the lodge and the town at the bottom of the mountain. Happy family, 2 teens with braces, they're cute as fuck. The mom and dad are too busy with their Blackberries. The kids get bored of listening to their music. I tell them about the Burger Chief, and everybody laughs. I get to the lodge, bring in their stuff. They reserved a room for me. I'm a lucky ass motherfucker. I crash in a studio apartment space. I dig the view. I can't smoke inside though. Have to smoke by the SUV. It gets late at night, so I get up to piss and I decide to smoke too. I'm leaning on the truck all bundled up, and I hear some coyotes in the distance. I fucking hate Maine. Puff, puff, puff. I'm about ready to stamp out the cigarette when I hear a coyote cry out in agony, like just beyond the headlights of the SUV. I hear bones snapping, and I remember Burger Chief's friends. I shut the headlights off and climb into the SUV. I lock the doors. Something heavy bumps into the ass end of the SUV, rocks it a little. Holy shit. I pull hat down over my eyes. Couldn't bleed. Monsters can't eat you under a blanket. Hopefully hats qualify. I hear heavy breathing on the window next to me. It goes away. I wait for 20 minutes, then click on the headlights. It's snowing its ass off. I get out and book it to the lodge. I find bloody footprints under the fresh snow. Looks like a regular dude, size 10 shoe maybe. Jesus, you're crazy. I cover the bloody stuff up with snow before the family wakes up. I'm still at the lodge the next morning, and I'm eating breakfast. The family comes by and waves. The dad explains that they want to go to town to buy a new snowboard for Junior, and the girls want to go shopping for cute new snow gear. I'm totally cool with that. get me the fuck off this mountain of death. I notice a bloody streak on the back gate and wipe it off with a handful of snow. The teen girl asks what I'm doing. I'm just wiping off some crud from the road. Are you gonna wash this while we're in town? Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. I drop the family off and I go to wash the truck. It's sparkly clean, but my brain can still see blood smear on the back gate. I pick them up and then I begrudgingly return to the mountain. I'm back in where I was before, parallel to this end of the lodge. A mountain ranger approaches me as I get out of the SUV, but I've already dropped the family off. She asks, "Were you here last night?" "Yep, came out to have a smoke. Some weird stuff happened." "Animal weird?" I shake my head and explain what happened. She nods and blows me off until I dig up the snow and show her the blood. "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna have to be right back really quickly if that's okay. I'm sorry." Well, 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 look what we have here, huh? What are you doing? 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 Huh? I'm sorry, my mom called me for my dinner. I haven't eaten. So I have some fish and chips and peas next to me. So I'm gonna you're reminiscing. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Fish and chips. Yeah. But however, I will continue. Mountain Ranger approaches me as I get out of the SUV. I've already dropped the family off. She says, "Were you here last night?" I say, "Yep. Came out to have a smoke. Some weird stuff happened." "Animal weird?" I shake my head and explain what happened. She nods and blows me off until I dig up the snow and show her the blood. "There's a bear down here." "What the fuck, since when do bears have man feet?" She asks me, "Did you tell anyone?" Who would believe me? "I'm going to talk to the other rangers, and we'll shut this side of the mountain down if we think there's trouble." "So keep my mouth shut." She looks at me. "That would be best until we do something. The mountain is loaded with daredevils. Somebody will go looking for the bear." "Right. Thanks." She goes back to patrolling, staying clear of the tree line where the noises came from. I smoke during the day, and if I go out at night, I stay close to the building and hang out at the hot springs. Swanky artificial ones. There's a bar, but I can't drink. I am a taxi guy. I'm drinking a Pepsi, smoking a few while I listen to the Saturday night band. The family is upstairs in the grand hall having some fancy-ass family reunion. I'm chilling with the bartender and a couple of ski bunnies that I've been having breakfast with for a few days. I hear coyotes again, and my heart rate peaks up. Are they annoying or what? I ask the bartender. They're a bad omen. Coyotes don't come this far up the mountain unless there's a fresh kill, or something has chased them up. Jesus Christ, man, are you a fucking movie character? Well, where's the lightning and dramatic organ? He laughs and shakes his head. Nothing can get you here. It's too noisy. Right. I relax a little. I stay a little lighter than I should have. The ski bunnies are drunk. We laugh it up some, and I call it a night before I do something stupid. I totally forgot about staying close to the building. I hear heavy breathing coming from under the SUV, and I freeze. I'm standing maybe 12 feet from the SUV. I can't see what's under it. "I don't want any trouble," I say with a stern voice. It's 2 a.m. "You just stay under there, and I'll go inside," I say, backing away from the SUV toward the entrance to my room. The breathing slows down as something crawls around under there like it's making a nest or some freaky shit. I open my door and it stops crawling. I see hot breath rising up from under the running boards as if it's coming out from under the truck. I fall through the door and kick it shut behind me, spin around and put my back against the door. There's nothing. No noise. I shut the yard light off that had illuminated that SUV and that thing's breath. When I get up in the morning, I call the ranger down. I stay in the room until she comes to the door, but not her knocking nearly makes me shit myself. I peek through the door. She's standing there. "What's up, David?" "Remember that bear?" "Yes." I point through the door towards the SUV where some serious marks were left. "What happened?" she asks. "I come out when you pull your gun out and point it at the truck. I'm not taking any risks." We approach the SUV. She has her gun ready. There are a ton of marks all over the place like it scooped snow under the SUV and pushed it out. She kicks snow under the SUV and nothing happens. I pull out the keys and hit the panic button. The horns, sirens and lights start, but nothing moves underneath it. "Must have left in the night," she says, kneeling down. "Holy fuck, you're nuts." I step back as she peeks under the truck and immediately backs away, standing up in a hurry. What? What did it do? Did it hurt the SUV? No, it pissed and shit all over the place under there. Are you kidding me? I move the SUV and sure enough, It pissed and shit all over the place, rolled around in it even. No fresh snow. Those are people tracks. That's the same foot. She says, "It seems like you've got a friend, David." "Sorry, this is just crazy. Are you guys gonna shut down the mountain?" "Yes, this is too close to the lodge to be brushed off. Whatever did this needs to be chased off or captured." "Oh, sweet Jesus, thank you." The family and I book it. I get a call from the ranger a few days back. She says they never found the guys that did it, but the urine and shit samples came back positive for human. She asks me what I saw the night I pulled my hat over my face. I told her jack shit. I've never returned to Murder Mountain, and the family hasn't either. Ooh, spooky. Pissed and shitted and farted and came all over the place. No! No! No, Mario, anything but that. Anything but that, please. Come on, dude. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, man. Then he rolled in it. Yeah, he rolled in it. Don't brap. Right. Let me have a look. The following spring, after Murder Mountain, Central tells me that the family is back and they want to go down east. Eastport. Far away. But hey, I get to drive a new Escalade, and I like the family anyway. By the way, the shit and piss smell wouldn't leave the air system of the SUV, so we ditched it and upgraded to a new one. I roll up to the airport. Everyone's happy to see me. Dad shakes my hand and asks me how the Burger Baron is doing. I tell him I haven't heard from him in a while, and we laugh again about him. It's a long-ass ride from the airport to Eastport. Naturally, they pick an old-ass B&B to stay in. I, however, opt out of chilling with them and book a room right on the water. They're about 15 minutes away from me. Dad asks if I want to stay, and I tell them they should enjoy the weekend together and that I smoke. He understands, and we exchange cell phone numbers. So the first night, I'm sitting on the back deck of this place, outside of the restaurant downstairs. I'm smoking with a guy from New York who hates Maine, but his wife loves it. I'm fucking fed up with this wilderness shit, he tells me, waving his Jack and Ginger around. I know what it is because I ordered a peach smoothie, and the bar handles everything but coffee and soda. You're preaching to the choir. If I could afford it, I'd be in Japan. Why Japan? Really? You don't know why? I tip my smoothie to him. We tap glasses and laugh. I hear a splashing below us. Mind you, the deck hangs out over the water by a good 8 to 10 feet. I put my drink down and step to the railing, leaning over. It's just a gentle tide smacking against the rocks. Just sounded like splashing. But I'm paranoid after Murder Mountain. I sit back down and light up another cigarette. The New Yorker asks me what's up. I thought I heard a struggle down there. Later on, I'm standing on the balcony outside of my room, looking out over the moonlit bay. Damn, if it didn't suck so hard here. I'm smoking again, tapping a can of Pepsi against the railing. I hear the splashing again. I look down. I can see the rocks again. There's lots of bubbles down there now, and the tides aren't shifting. Hey, anyone down there? I shout down. No reply. Just more bubbles from the rocky area. I shrug it off. Scary ocean shit. I tap the ashes off my cigarette and lay my head against the railing. It's quiet apart from the splashing. And it stops suddenly. I look down again, and my Pepsi can gets sucked out of my hand. I'm on the 3rd floor, mind you. Swoop. Down into the bubbles. Fuck. I throw my cigarette after it and turn away from the railing. The splashing starts again, and my Pepsi can is smacking against the rocks. The smacking gets rhythmic. Tap, tap, tap. Pause, pause, pause. Tap, tap, tap. Pause, pause, pause. I go down to put an end to the noise. There's a rocky beach down there under the deck, and I climb down to get the Pepsi can. Why the fuck am I doing this? Oh yeah, too paranoid to listen to the ghost tap the can all night. I lean out over the rocks and grab the can. I pull it up out of the water and dump the seawater out of it. I climb back from the beach and toss the can in the trash nearest where I climbed up from. As soon as the can hits the bottom of the barrel, I hear a boat rub up against the dock. I spin around with my fists up like I'm gonna punch the Kraken or something, but it's just a boat. This is God telling me to stop smoking. I set my hand down on one of the pylons that poke up from the dock supports, and I discover my cigarette is under my hand. Huh, lucky me. The ash broke off, so I light it up again and look at this boat rubbing on the dock. It's a cabin cruiser. The name on the ass end is Sea Toy. Sea Toy rubs up against the dock again and again as I'm smoking. Ah! Oh no. 1 second. Where is it? Bruh. Give me a moment. I'm sorry. I can't find the rest of it. I can't find the rest of it, dude. I'm so sad. I had a Bruh, I need to know how this ends. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Wait. 1 second. Dude. Quick, I'm gonna make something up. Okay. So basically, he turns around and then, another cigarette gets flicked at him and then he dies. The end. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know how to end for a second. It's on a freaking... Okay. Wait. There we go. I got it. It's okay. It's okay. I step off the pylon dock and onto the floating deck. I grab Sea Toy's rope and wrap it again around one of the weird boat tie thingies. It stops rubbing. Finally. I turn around and there's another cigarette on the pylon above. I still have mine. Okay, it's time for bed. I rush up the gangway to the pylon dock and throw my cigarette over the edge. I get to my room. Lock the door. Nope. Too much lactose, you're having visions. I pull the shades over the glass door that leads to the balcony. Early in the morning, I wake up to find that the curtains are knocked off the railings and the glass door is wide open. Oh God, it knows where I sleep. I fix everything as best as I can, unlock the balcony door this time. The family and I explore Eastport for a while before they rent a sailboat and go off pretending to be pirates. At the hotel, the New Yorker says he heard me last night. I tell him what happened and he laughs at me and offers to buy me breakfast. We have breakfast. His wife nags him to go sailing. I guess they sailed up here. He owns the Sea Toy. I spend the morning sipping Pepsi and texting a friend back home about what's going on. The splashing starts again. I ignore it and go inside to again find my room messed up. I ignore it and go inside to again find my room messed up. The housekeepers say it's not them. When Dad, Mom and kids get back, I ask if there's a room at the B&B. I stay with them for the rest of the weekend. I'm at the Eastport Inn. The owners have hired a medium to entertain the guests tonight. Just springtime spooky shit, what the fuck? So I hang out with Dad in the back of the den while the family and a couple of newlyweds get right in on the action. This old looking woman comes into the room and the owners shut off the lights off and light candles. Here we go. Dad and I have to shut off our phones because apparently it makes the ghosts mad. We both watch as this lady starts walking around the room, waving her hand over people's heads. She says some superficial stuff about the kids and the newlyweds. She tells Mom that Dad thinks she's pretty. Duh. She gets to me. I give her a glare. She smirks and grabs my cheeks. And you've been marked. The fuck you say? Marked? I'm freaked out now. You're marked. Something to do with your smoking. I pull her hands from my face and Dad waves her off. What was that all about? He asks. I explain the cigarette and sea toy, my room, and the splashing. He shakes his head. He doesn't know about Murder Mountain, by the way. I rub my forehead as she goes on about a maiden that died at the docks. The vengeful husband drowned her after she fell in love with a highwayman. The dad nudges me. I wave a hand, too interested to not listen to her. She goes on and says that the husband killed her when he smelled the cigar of the highwayman on her. The dad begins to chuckle. I nudge him and he starts laughing out loud. I get up and leave. The weekend goes off without a hitch. We leave Eastport and Dad teases me about my ghost girlfriend the whole way back to the airport. Ooh, ghost girlfriend. Hey, ghost girlfriend Pog. Poggy Woggies. Ghost blowjob. Woo woo. Do you have to do that every time? Let me just find. Ooh. Uh-oh. There's one about a skinwalker. 1 second, let me eat some mushy peas, dude. Dude, they're looking at me. Oh my god, they're looking at me, dude. I'm gonna take a little nibble. Okay. The peas have renewed me with energy. The peas have filled me with energy. I have so much energy right now from those delicious mushy peas. Okay. Don't mind the smell of burning hair and copper. Skinwalkers is so creepy, dude. Years ago, I thought I was in love. Back when I was hot and engaged to an Irish hottie. It was good times. Her stepdad liked me. We drank together. They lived in a farming community next to Amish, strangely enough. They owned property, about 80 acres or so. 60% of the property is wooded. Stepdad and I are walking in said woods. He's kinda half drunk, half serious, and he starts going off about how the woods are in his blood. Oh yeah? Are you related to Woody the Woodpecker? Let's call him Appleseed. Appleseed chuckles and says no, he's part Maliseet, a tribe from here in Maine. That's cool. Is that why you don't get sunburned? He looks at me. No, it means I turn into a fucking wolf. I stop in my tracks and grab his shoulder. You can't be that drunk already. I'm not kidding. Let me show you my altar. I follow him quite a ways down in. So far, I can't hear cars anymore, or really much more than some annoying birds. Wah! It's really windy all of a sudden, sorry. I can just fell over. There's a lot of wind coming in my window. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It goes knocking over me fucking cans, mate. He leads me to a clearing, man-made, that sits at the bend of a river. There's rushing water. He stands near the edge and places his hand on a carved stump. There's lots of faces carved into it. Birds, wolves, foxes, etc. It's not a totem pole. It's just a tree trunk with shit carved into it. Looks super old. He pats the side of it and asks me to come touch it too. I touch it. It feels like slimy wood. Okay. He shakes his head. Be glad she loves you. You're as mortal as they come, my friend. I shrug. Means I won't be chilling with wood, I guess. He chuckles and we go back to the house for dinner. A few weeks later, I get a call from his wife asking me if I've seen him. No, he's your husband. Don't get smart, he's been missing for too long. I come over with the fiancé and we go down into the woods. There's blood and guts everywhere, sheep body parts all over. I stop in the path as we get closer. You two should go back. They go back up the hill. I grab a branch from the side of the path and hold it like a club. I get closer to where his altars were. There's no birds. I step into the clearing and I spot the altar he showed me, caked in blood. Sheep's head is resting on top of it, and the ground is covered in shreds of his clothing. Appleseed is nowhere to be found. There's a fire going, though, in a rock pit that he made, I guess. He's got a piece of stone in the middle that's making the fire green and blue. I can hear a bunch of rustling in the bushes all around me. There's a feeling in me like I should run, but my feet stay planted as I hold the branch up, ready to swing. Appleseed steps out from the bushes behind me. I turn and swing. He catches the branch. He's like 53 or some shit, and I'm 23. Holy shit. He's naked, by the way. Appleseed is covered in blood. It's caked under his nails. He's got it in his hair. His balls have blood on them. He smiles to me. His teeth are bright yellow. Told ya, he says, tugging the branch out of my hands like I'm a toddler holding a wiffle bat. I step back from him as he kneels down to pick up his glasses. Why? I had to prove something to you. What the fuck could killing sheep had to do with proving anything to me? Had to prove that you don't belong in this family. Good point. Bye then. I leaned over, grabbed his shirt. Here, clean yourself off. I basically died on my way up the hill. I felt him following me the whole way. I didn't look back, but I could hear his feet on the twigs and branches in the path. He stayed a breath's space away from me the whole day. I get back up to the girls. He's just camping, guy stuff. Better leave him alone. I broke up with my fiancée, found out later she was cheating on me anyway. Don't go into the woods on a full moon. Ooh. I hate skinwalkers, dude. I hate skinwalker stories. Skinwalker stories are always the scariest for me. Skinwalker stories are the scariest, right? You know what? I'm gonna go for some skinwalker stories, right? Let's do it. Some skinwalker stories. Okay. I recently heard a story while listening to Corpse Husband on YouTube, and it was eerily similar to an experience I had when I was younger, so I thought I'd share. When I was around 13, my cousin and I decided we were going to camp in our yard. We have a shared property that has been passed down through the family for generations. There's about 150 yards or so between our houses, and it is just an open area of yard that hits our fields. The total land is about 2.5 square miles, so it's pretty big. We have fields, a creek, and even our own bit of forest. Anyways, we decided it was a nice summer night and we were going to camp out, so I grabbed a tent we had in my parents' garage and we spent the evening setting it up, then going to his house for dinner. At around 9 p.m, we decided to go to sleep since it was getting pretty dark out and there wasn't really much we could do outside while in the tent except talking about our plans for summer. At around 11 p.m. or so, I got a call from my then girlfriend and she was pretty upset about something that had happened earlier in the day. I was pretty tired, so it took me a while to actually understand what she was saying and to calm her down. But once we did, I continued to chat for a bit until my cousin grabbed my shoulder hard. I told him I was on the phone and he could wait, but he just pulled me around, and when I saw his face, I instantly told my girlfriend I had to go. He had his finger up into his mouth in a shushing motion, and he looked absolutely terrified. He told me to look towards the entrance of the tent in a whisper before I could even ask him what was wrong. When I looked, I didn't see anything at all, so I just told him to go back to sleep. But after that, I heard the sound of someone walking around the tent. It seemed very unlikely that anyone would be out here unless it was my dad, and he isn't the type of person to prank anyone. We are generally pretty safe on our property as we're about 10 miles out of town and everyone that lives near us are family or old family friends. I told my cousin to be quiet and stay down, and I was going to see if I could find out who it was. But when I peeked out the front of the tent, I didn't see anything again. I assumed whoever it was just ran off, or that maybe it was my dad after all. But instead of pranking us, he had just decided to come just check on us. That was proven wrong, however, as I heard the footsteps walking around the tent again as soon as I laid down. It felt like hours I listened to the footsteps. Sometimes they would change pace and rhythm, but after a while I heard them stop. I ended up looking at the entrance to the tent as I had the feeling of being watched, and I finally saw what had freaked my cousin out so much. Standing there peering into the tent was what appeared to be a thin man who was very dirty and almost completely naked, except for some animal skins he wore. His eyes seemed to glow or shine, only there was nothing that should have made them glow like that. I lay there frozen as we peered into each other's eyes for what seemed like a lifetime, but was probably only around 5 minutes or so. At this point, he very calmly and slowly backed away, turned around, then ran off in the direction of our forest. I stayed awake, straining my ears for any sound indicating he was coming back, but after about an hour and a half I had exhausted myself and fell asleep. When we woke up, we immediately looked around the tent to see if maybe we were just seeing things, but sure enough, there were bare footprints circling the tent. While looking at the prints, I noticed that some of the tracks were coyote paw prints, which would have accounted for the change in rhythm. We ended up finding a set of tracks that led into our field towards the forest, and noticed that about halfway from the tent to the field, the prints started changing from the bare footprints to the man on all fours with footprints and handprints, then slowly becoming smaller and turning into coyote paw prints. Ever since this experience, my cousin and I have both had multiple encounters with what we now believe is a skinwalker. Woo! Spooky. Right. Let me look at some more stories. Some skinwalker stories are the scariest. I hate them, but I love them. Oh, they're so spooky. Alright, let me... This is a story my family told me when we were growing up. We live in a rural community on a Navajo reservation. My aunt and her 2 brothers were home alone while my grandparents had left for the evening to attend a chapter house meeting. They were in the house, and like many people from the reservation, they didn't have electricity. It had been dark outside for about an hour, and my aunt and uncles were getting ready for bed. Outside, they heard noises as if someone moving things around outside. My oldest uncle went to look out the front window and saw a figure out by the truck. This was immensely out of the ordinary because the closest neighbor was miles away. Whatever it was opened the truck door and began to dig through the personal items that my family had left in the vehicle. My aunts and uncles were frightened by the sight and knew that they should take action. They took out the rifle and all steadied themselves to hold it up. They flung open the door and aimed the gun at the dark figure. The figure turned and started to walk towards them, totally unfazed by the weapon. My uncle pulled the trigger, but nothing happened. The figure drew closer, and my aunt began to smell something like a rotting corpse. It was so strong it made her gag. My uncle continued to pull the trigger with no luck, and the figure came closer and closer. Off in the distance, headlights were coming up the road. My grandparents were returning. The figure looked towards the light and started to move away and tucked itself behind a tree near the house. My oldest uncle ran towards the truck with a gun. My grandfather got out of the car and my uncle pointed at a tree. The thing was poking out its head to observe what they were doing. My grandfather ran into the house and over to the stove and grabbed a handful of ashes, rubbed it over the gun, and placed an ash-covered bullet into the chamber. He walked out into the porch and fired towards the tree. Whatever the thing was didn't expect the gun to go off. The gunshot echoed and the dark figure began running. My grandma chased my aunt inside and my uncles and grandfather went after it. There weren't many roads or paths, so as my grandfather and uncles chased after the figure, the truck was bouncing and the headlights were not fixed on one particular spot. My uncle swears that whenever the headlights would hit the figure, he saw a woman. Not only that, whoever it was running on all fours like a bear. My grandfather eventually stopped the truck, and as they neared the ditch that drops about 20 feet, he got out and began to yell in Navajo. My uncle said that he was yelling about a local woman. He yelled that he wasn't scared and that he knew it was her and to leave his family alone. A few days passed and there was news that the woman my grandfather was yelling about had passed. I've always been told that if you know who a skinwalker is, say their name and it will kill them. Ooh. Ooh. Ashen bullets, is this Bloodborne? I don't know. I don't know. Apparently that's I don't know, he just wanted to put some ash on a bullet. I don't know why, maybe I have no idea. I'll do one more story because my dinner is getting cold, okay? I'll do one more story and then we can go and then we'll go and raid someone. And I'm sorry for the whatchamacallit. For the length, I guess, of the stream. Oh, you want me to do posh voice? Do you want me to read this in a posh voice? That's not gonna be scary. It's not gonna be scary if I read this in a posh voice. Royce. It's something spiritual. You're also supposed to burn and bury the bodies with white ash, I think, as well. Right. Listen, Royce, Royce, come on now. Do you really want me to do this in a posh voice? I can. I'm sorry. I should have gotten rid of the fucking redeems, dude. I'm such an idiot. I'm gonna give you back your points, okay? Is that okay? No, Valis. No. I'm gonna give you back your points as well. Don't be bold. No, we're not doing it. We're gonna no. We're gonna read. We're gonna read one scary story, alright, and then I'm gonna put you all to bed. Okay? Times 10 refund policy. That's not a policy. Look, I'm gonna turn off the emotes. No, I'm gonna turn them off because some people are redeeming them when it's totally fine for them to do it, I guess. But you know, okay. Be good, right? Be good. Worse than the Fed. I am worse, you know. Okay. We'll read a scary story. I'm hungry. I wanna eat. I wanna eat my fish and chips, mate. This happened to me in January of 2019 in western North Carolina, around the small town of Silva. I was participating in a week-long program to get certified as a first responder for wilderness first aid and rescue. I'm studying to become a forester, and it's important to know how to keep people alive in the woods when things go wrong. There are 2 primary locations in the complex: a classroom with some bathrooms, and a kitchen where we spent most of the day in class and ate meals, and a group of 1-room cabins on top of a steep hill directly north of the classroom where we would sleep. An important thing to note about the cabins is the heating system. Each cabin has a small but powerful radiator in it that makes the cabin feel like a sauna if left on for too long. Since it was January in the Appalachians, it was pretty chilly outside at night, so the heat was needed. In order to strike a balance between boiling in our beds and getting hypothermia, we would turn on the radiator and leave a window open so that the warm and cold air could circulate and create a reasonable temperature. Don't get at me about the waste of power, I didn't like it either. The radiator and the open window were at the front of the cabin next to the door, and my bed was directly across from the window. The incident happened on the 5th day, a Thursday, of my time there. My boyfriend and I, who was enrolled in the program with me, had settled down for the night in the cabin we shared with one another person. We had gone to sleep as normal and were sleeping soundly in 2 bunks that we had pushed together so we could sleep next to each other. Sometime during the night, I was woken up by some shuffling on the other side of the room near the window. I heard my boyfriend say in a complaining voice, "Can't we close this window? I wake up feeling frozen." I woke up more and sat up in my bed groggily, about to answer him, when I heard another voice say, "If we close the window, it'll get too hot and we'll wake up sweaty." I snapped awake and froze where I was sitting. The voice that had responded was my voice. There was something very strange and wrong in hearing your voice repeated back at you. In the dark, I looked down next to me where I saw my boyfriend sleeping soundly. At this point, a mortal dread had a tight grip on my chest, and I forced myself to not move or even blink. I was focused intently on the place near the window, fearfully anticipating more of my own words. I heard more shuffling outside the window, and my same words were repeated. "If we close the window, it'll get too hot and we'll wake up sweaty," followed quickly by my boyfriend's voice again. "Can't we close this window? I wake up feeling frozen." Towards the end of the last repetition of my boyfriend's words, there seemed to be an unevenness in the enunciation, like raising and lowering the pitch slightly. I remained frozen in my bed, feeling my hand fall asleep in my propped-up possession. I sat there for what felt like 15 or 20 minutes, listening to whatever it was shuffle around in front of our window, separated from me by some odd 10 feet and window mesh. Eventually, the shuffling became more frequent, and a weird mumbling sound came from outside the window, with no real words being said, or none that I could make out. This particular behaviour didn't last long before the shuffling sound moved to the left of the window to the door, where a scratching sound began to manifest. As the sound moved, I saw the silhouette of a medium height, 5'6" figure that moved in an uncanny way, like when a baby animal tries to walk for the first time, but isn't quite strong enough to stand up correctly. It sounded like someone was scraping some dry sticks against the wood of the door, not aggressively, but kind of like an impatient dog asking to be let in. The scratching slowly moved around the cabin, stopping when I reached the wall that I was closest to. My ears were strained to hear anything that might indicate further action, but all I could hear were footsteps on the dry leaves. The footsteps eventually moved away from the cabin and down the other side of the hill, and didn't return for the rest of the night. I stayed unmoving from my position for at least another half hour before my body readjusted itself slightly, letting blood flow back into my asleep limbs. I was wide awake until my boyfriend's and other roommates' alarms went off sometime before dawn to get ready for the day, which felt like maybe 2 hours, but I couldn't be certain because I didn't have a clock. My boyfriend was surprised that I was awake before him, as I am typically a later sleeper, but I just told him his alarm woke me up and tried to act somewhat normally. We got up and got ready for our day, but I refused to leave the cabin until the sun began to peek over the mountains. For the rest of the week I was on edge and felt like there were eyes on me wherever it was relatively dark out, though I am not sure of how much of that was raw paranoia. The day following the incident at night, I had realized the lines that were repeated to me by the voice were part of a conversation that my boyfriend and I had earlier in the week, and I came to the conclusion that whatever it was had been outside our cabin and heard us talking. This scared me a great deal, as I also realized that it had been likely lurking there in the following nights as well without us realizing it, and might do so again for our remaining nights, though it ended up not coming back. I waited to tell my boyfriend about this until we had left the program because he scares easy and was already a little wary of walking in the woods at night up to the cabins. It should be noted that I know this to not to be a sleep paralysis experience, as I have had them before and they were nothing like this. Not to mention, I was able to move. Right, listen. Right, I have one more. One more, okay? One more story. Right, one more story, okay? Just one more, okay? This story was told to me by my friend Sam, and comes from his own experience. I met Sam on a photography gig a few years after graduating art school, and we connected through our shared interest in the paranormal. We would swap stories about our personal paranormal experiences, and what I'm about to tell you is probably the most memorable of his. Sam is a full-blooded Dene. His mother and father grew up in a nation near New Mexico. They had Sam out of wedlock at a very young age, and broke up a few years after he was born. His mother moved to Illinois with his now stepfather, who is white and Catholic. Sam grew up in a Chicago suburb and lived there most of his childhood and teenage years. He would visit his dad for a couple of weeks a few times a year, but never really spent a prolonged amount of time out on the reservation. It was at 20 that Sam moved in with his dad on the res to get a better understanding of my heritage, as he said it, and stayed there till he was about 24. He was very interested in his Dene heritage, especially when he started developing his art practice as a painter and a photographer. As he spent more and more time on the res, he grew a deep interest in Dene superstition, I guess as a way to connect to his culture that he felt he didn't do enough to be a part of in his childhood and teenage years, since he essentially assimilated into Midwestern, suburban, white culture due to his mother and stepdad. While on the res, he made friends with and eventually dated a girl whom we'll call Jess, who had fully grown up on the res. She was a little older than Sam and got her teaching degree in another state before coming back to the res to teach high school. She was basically agnostic, but had a very superstitious family. In fact, her great uncle, who we'll call John, was a medicine man. I'm not super familiar with the details surrounding this practice, and Sam didn't go into a ton of detail in regards to this either. But basically, he was a very respected elder and was extremely superstitious. He often spoke of Dene folklore, creatures, magic, etc., and took it all very seriously. John was pretty old and often needed help around his property, so Sam was often over there helping him out with odd jobs. Sam felt weird taking money from the old man, especially since Sam already had a part-time job as an art teacher and sold his paintings and photos in Santa Fe art markets for pretty good money. So as payment, Sam would ask John to share some of his knowledge with him. It was Sam's way of connecting to his heritage, he told me. They talked for an hour or two every night that Sam would come over to help. Sam would basically grill him on every random Dene-related thing under the sun and would have generally get an earful about it. Except when it came to one specific topic, Ye Nal Doshi. Sam, having spent most of his childhood with his mum and stepdad off the res, didn't have the same outlook on skinwalkers that the other Dene did. The whole don't speak of them thing was something he subscribed to, mainly because Sam grew up in the Chicago area where no skinworkers would be around anyway. And B, he was raised Catholic and didn't believe in Dene superstitions. He was pretty interested in this part of Dene lore because of how common skinwalkers were in creepypasta, on boards like X, and of course Reddit. So naturally his interest in them disturbed John, and he generally shut down any discussion of them. When he brought this up to Jess, she got visibly upset and asked him to never speak of them to her or her great uncle ever again. This was weird to Sam. Oh, second. There we go. Oh, there we go. This was weird to Sam, since Jess wasn't superstitious or even religious for that matter. He thought his agnostic girlfriend wouldn't be so weird about these things. She explained to Sam that, despite her general agnosticism, this was one thing she knew was real, because she and other members of her family had experiences. She told him a very similar story to the types you'll see posted online, late at night on the res, driving home and seeing what you think is a coyote or a sheep following you at an alarming speed, only to, upon closer inspection, see what appears to be human underneath animal skin, or a half-man, half-coyote kind of creature. This happened to Jess when she was a little girl, while being driven home by her father. Great Uncle John came and performed some sort of protection or cleansing ritual that they thought protected them, at least for a few years. It wasn't until Jess moved back after getting her a degree did she encounter one again, this time running along the rooftops of some homes and buildings in town. She thought somehow someone's dog got up on their roof, but then it would get on two legs and jump to the next building. After landing, it would perch up there, sitting cross-legged, staring her down with yellow eyes. She sped home so fast she got pulled over by the tribal police. When she explained what she saw and why she was speeding, the officer shushed her, tore up the ticket he was writing, and told her to get her ass home. Uncle John came by again and performed a ritual. Jess said that, according to John though, the creature wasn't after her, and was caught in the act of stalking someone else. That made it set its eyes upon her, so she was to be extra cautious and, in her words, shut the fuck up about them forever. She only told Sam all of this to keep things off of her and her family. But wouldn't you know it, that just made him more interested. And who could blame him, really? It seems as though Sam kind of whittled down John's resolve on the issue, because eventually the old man budged a little bit. He revealed to Sam a few bits and pieces of information over the years. I'm just going to copy and paste from some Instagram DMs he sent me while I put this whole story together. Note the only changes I've made to his messages were the names of those involved. Also, in case it wasn't obvious, Sam abbreviates Skinwalker to SW. The first thing John told me about SW was that they can't actually read minds like they say in the stories and stuff. It was basically what you'd call an old wives' tale because they didn't want their kids talking about that shit and spreading the idea that this was something people could do. I think they wanted the practice of being skinwalker to die out completely, so they thought by forbidding people from talking about it, nobody would be curious enough to try out black magic and shit. I think because Dene are so steeped in oral traditions that they basically believed that if enough people stopped talking about the thing, it dies forever. But you know you can't tell people not to talk about something. So they said that if you talk about it, it will make them more interested in you and seek you out. It was just them trying to scare kids. The other thing is that they are just regular people, not monsters. They don't have any special powers, just knew a lot about certain things that a lot of us don't. Like how there are things you know how to do as a videographer that regular people who have never done it don't. Like when you show them a really cool edit you did or shots you pulled off and they're like, whoa, how did you do that? Same kind of stuff. They just spent a lot of time learning about the stuff that makes them able to do what they do. They studied animals and how they move, making suits, studied poisons, hallucinogens, shit like that. They're medicine men, just like John. In fact, a lot of them are openly good medicine men in the community and nobody knows they practice this stuff. It's just another form of their medicine man stuff, but they use it for people who want to harm or scare others. They get hired to fuck with people. John told me this one story about a close friend who was also a medicine man in the Tuba City area that had an asshole in the neighborhood who kept bitching about his property lines or something like that. He was building a fence, and there was a big fuss about it. The guy harassed the shit out of his next door neighbour because of it, but the neighbour knew where his land started and ended, and so he didn't budge. Eventually some weird shit started to go down. The asshole's neighbour was talking about how there was a gigantic coyote in his backyard that would look in the windows at night and scared the shit out of him and his girlfriend. He would hang in his backyard with a shotgun around sundown, which of course weirded out everyone in the neighbourhood, and a lot of folk was saying that he was mentally unstable. But then people in the neighbourhood started hearing fucked up noises, and someone saw the coyote stand on its hind legs and look in the windows. And then one day the guy's girlfriend drove him to the emergency room because he was having a really bad trip apparently, like hallucinating and talking about this coyote man who was threatening to kill him. John doesn't know what he was on, if it was like peyote or something. He came down a few hours later, and a lot of people in town laughed it off. But John's friend and a few other people in the neighbourhood, like I assume the ones who actually saw the coyote man, knew that it was probably a skinwalker. John said that skinwalkers know a lot about hallucinogens, how to get the results they want from them, and how to administer them to their victims without them knowing. Like they know so much about the compounds and shit that they know exactly how it'll affect you and how to fuck with you while you're on them. So John's friend came by to bless the place and perform a ritual, and the weird shit stopped. My favorite anime is this. Because skinwalkers are medicine men themselves, they also believe in the power of the rituals that are used against them. That's how I would say these things work. Nothing super magical or paranormal about it, they just have strong beliefs. After this, John basically put a kibosh on skinwalker talk. Sam told me that he thought it was weird that John didn't want to talk about them. After all, John said it himself that skinwalkers can't read minds, and talking about them didn't draw their attention to you. As Sam said, it's an old wives' tale. He even told this to Jess, but she shot him down. She actually kind of insulted him apparently, telling Sam that he's not culturally a Dene so he wouldn't understand, and him trying to get deep into the skinwalker stuff was offensive for their heritage. Jesus. Pretty much, apparently, Vice. After learning the truth about skinwalkers and being scolded by his girlfriend, Sam took the hint and for a while focused his time spent with John on things the old man actually wanted to talk about. Sam learned a lot about his culture and the practice of medicine men, and worked on this gorgeous 4x5 portrait series of elderly folk on the res. Sam told me that this was around this time that he realised he was pretty callous in the way he approached the skinwalker subject. By this point, Sam had been living on the res for about 4 or so years. He even got a full-time teaching job at one of the reservation schools. He moved out of his dad's place and got his own. Sam had always planned to move back to Illinois or to some bigger city with more of an art scene, but wanted to spend much more time on the res, at least another 5 years. Despite that desire to stay and his new job, he and Jess ended up moving to my city only a few months into his full-time position, and that's around the time I met him. His usual response to why they both left was that he needed to be somewhere with a bigger art scene and community, and Jess wanted to go back to school to get an MSW. But it wasn't until I got to know him reasonably well and we started bonding over a shared interest in the paranormal did he actually tell me why they left. John was getting up there in age, late 80s. Dude lived a long life and had some cancer in his 60s and beat it, but he would tell me that he always wondered when it would come back to take him. I think it was in like 2014 or something that he was diagnosed with lung cancer that metastasized to his liver, pancreas, colon. He was only given a few months to a year to live. After the diagnosis, Jess, her father, and Sam spent a lot more time with the old man helping him out around the house. He was by this point bedridden, and had refused to be put in hospice care as he thought it was a waste of his family's money for, as Sam put it, a mildly more comfortable death. A few months in, Sam received a call from John asking him to come over that evening. He told me that he had some stuff that he wanted to tell me that he didn't want to die with him. I assumed he felt like he was on his way out based on that. When Sam arrived, John was just sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. He beckoned Sam to sit next to him and told him he had some last bits of knowledge to share. When Sam mentioned that he brought his camera with him, John allowed him to film, with his only request being he wouldn't show it to anyone and that he would stop recording when asked. We spent like an hour or so just talking about whatever came to his mind. It was a lot of stuff I've told you before, stuff like part of the res that are cursed, portals to other dimensions, and then stuff like how to bless your home, what plants do what, how to find your way home if you're lost in the desert. Also some songs and prayers that I had to have on tape because it was in a language and I'm a trash at it. It was like he was trying to cover everything he felt he hadn't told me before. He basically said I would be his closest thing to an informal apprentice, as he actually never passed on his knowledge to one before. He said he was keeping some knowledge for himself still, but wanted to share what he felt comfortable with. After the sun went down, John requested that they turn off the camera and go outside. Once inside, he asked Sam to turn on the TV and raise the volume. He explained that it was important that no one hear their conversation. According to Sam, the old man didn't have any neighbours for miles, so he found that a little odd, at least until he learned what their conversation was about. I haven't been honest with you about Yi Naldoshi, he said. He then requested that Sam burn some herbs, plants, or a mixture of some sort that he had put on top of the logs in his fireplace. This was so, according to John, no one in this world or the other could hear them. It seems, and this was Sam's read of the situation, that John thought that by writing skinwalkers off as just assholes who dress in animal skins and drug people with peyote or shrooms to fuck with them, he would discourage the young man from ever looking further into the legends. And while that was definitely true, there were skinwalkers who had no powers, no connection with the supernatural, and were just Dene occult fanatics who played dress-up. That was only part of the story. Yinadoshi exist in 2 varieties. The first John had already explained to Sam. Medicine man with no actual supernatural powers. Oh. Sorry, 1 second. Frick. Just a very extensive knowledge of various hallucinogenic compounds, able to craft very convincing outfits of animal pelts, and can move and behave very similarly to whatever animal they wish to mimic. These folks were accessible to the general population on the res. When I say accessible, of course, I don't mean just anyone can seek them out. It takes someone well connected, as well as depraved enough, to want to seek them out to bother or even harm others. These skinwalkers would often receive monetary compensation for their deeds, like the hypothesis in John's Tuba City story. They based this entire practice on the legends of shapeshifters and dark witches in Dene folklore. This explains a good portion of skinwalker stories and lore you see posted online. Large coyotes or sheep behaving oddly, only to, upon closer inspection, reveal that they are a person wearing animal skins. But what about the other stories? The stories of these beings, half man, half beast, pulling off unnatural feats around the res, running along cars at top speed, mimicking voices, reading and even controlling minds, immune to firearms, shape-shifting into incredibly convincing, terrifying, gigantic wolf-like creatures, glowing red or yellow eyes, and faces that are neither human nor animal. Well, you guessed it. Those are the real dark witches who have terrorized the Dene and sometimes others for centuries. John theorized that skinwalkers developed sometime around the time when the first settlers arrived. Medicine men in the tribes were incredibly wary of these visitors, and as time went on they revealed themselves to be conquerors. These medicine men, as Sam put it, turned to the dark side in order to scare them off and terrorize them. Medicine men back then knew that by turning to the practice of black magic, there wasn't really any turning back. Black magic robs them of their humanity and corrupts their souls, but they believed that they could do this for the good of the people, and then, once the colonizers were driven out, be dealt with by their own people. In fact, some medicine men revealed their plans for this to other members of their practice who opted not to participate in the rituals. They gave them detailed instructions on how to protect themselves and even kill them when necessary. Unfortunately, we know how this turned out. And unlike the other skinwalkers, the pretenders in animal fur, these are not human, or at least not in a sense that is recognized by the Dene. In order to become one of these things, they must participate in a ceremony that essentially robs them of their humanity, and after a long enough time living as one of them, they barely even resemble a human in appearance. A creature that was once human, but through some horrific twisted process or ritual became something else entirely. The practice of becoming a skinwalker is jealously guarded, even more so than that of the pretenders. It requires committing heinous acts, murder and or torture of a family member or friend, ingesting poisons in human flesh, and communicating with entities from other dimensions. Skinwalkers are also a people unto themselves, an isolated subculture of the Dene that branched off a long time ago. Although they make their home in the same region, they generally do not live among them, fraternize with them, or trade with them. They are a completely separate community, and some would say a completely separate species as well. John did not go into great detail on the process of becoming a skinwalker. He said no man who calls himself Dene would ever know such things. That might have been true a century ago when skinwalkers still lived among the people, but in this day and age the skinwalker is much too concerned with being found out, and so they isolated themselves and brought all knowledge with them. Think of those tribes that are still being discovered in the jungles of Africa and South America, completely cut off from the rest of the world. Only this tribe is well aware of the rest of society and chooses to isolate. That being said, of course, they do go out amongst the people. It's just usually at night, amongst only a small group of folks, and only for their own dark purposes. John's understanding was that, aside from stealing livestock, their abilities feed off the fear they instill in others. Murder also strengthens their connection to whatever dark entities they commune with, but a death directly at the hands of a skinwalker is exceedingly rare. John went to say how a lot of things that are sometimes attributed to deaths of despair, such as suicide, overdose, alcohol poisoning, etc., could be traced to very powerful skinwalkers. It is said that a basic trait of the skinwalker is being able to instill fear into their victims, like a weak form of mind control. More powerful skinwalkers can actually cause folks to harm themselves. John wasn't sure, however, if the mind control rumors were true. Corpse powder, the fabled favourite weapon of the skinwalker, blown on their faces, could actually be how they make these things happen. While some say corpse powder is a powerful poison that slowly kills over the course of a few days, leaving no trace of itself in one's system, others insist it's a drug that makes the victim highly suggestible. I've heard of things like this before. Criminals in some parts of South America use something similar to make their marks essentially empty their bank accounts for them. John believes in both explanations. It is sometimes a cocktail of poison and human bone, and sometimes is a drug that makes one highly suggestible, and the skinwalker uses this to instruct the victim to harm or kill themselves somehow. Direct contact with their victims is too risky, both for the individual skinwalker as well as their clan, and is likely frowned upon. When a skinwalker does physically kill someone, the person either disappears or has their corpse found much later with their death ruled as an animal attack. John says this is more common amongst weaker skinwalkers. One detail that stood out to Sam was the idea that skinwalkers commune with entities from other dimensions, and he pressed John a bit on this more. In Sam's words, he knew I was raised Catholic, so he explained them to me as basically being demons, although the Dene have their own name for them. Don't remember what it was, but even if I did, I probably couldn't spell it. They are evil inhuman spirits that try to come into our realm, or dimension, or plane, or whatever, but they don't exactly have a physical presence, so they possess people, or in the case of skinwalkers, they use them as their connection to the world. So some skinwalkers do the bidding of demons, and in return the demons give them powers. But John said that also some really old skinwalkers aren't even people anymore, they're living corpses, but demons live inside them. Guess the idea is that demons give them powers in exchange for letting the demon desecrate their corpse by using it as their flesh puppet when they die. According to John, they communicated with these beings through their knowledge of the portal system in the American Southwest. This included places that are off the reservation, although skinwalkers were wary about going off the res as it can be more densely populated and carries with it a risk of being discovered. The few times they do, they are good at keeping a low profile, being actual shapeshifters and all, but due to their nature they can't resist feeding off the fear of others, so small groups of campers and people driving alone at night off the res have stories as well. Sometimes lone visitors outside the reservation, who are off camping, hiking, what have you, will straight up disappear under weird circumstances. I highly doubt skinwalkers are to blame for the majority of these mysterious disappearances, but if John was saying is true, a few of them could possibly fall prey to one. These portals also often exist in caves and small canyons and require a lengthy ritual full of incantations, offerings, dances, and a sacrifice to open. What the sacrifice is, John isn't sure, but hypothesizes that some of the disappearing hikers may have something to do with them. When the portals open, they are used for a variety of things: communication with spirits and demons, gaining more power, summoning entities into our world, or even throwing themselves into the portals and leaving our world. Sam asked why they would go into the portals and what existed beyond them. It was another dimension that allowed them to observe our world but not interact with it, as well as see things and beings that we couldn't in our plane. He said that they would interact in that dimension with beings called Chindis, which are evil spirits of the deceased, said to be a manifestation of everything that was bad about a person. Sorry, one second, my dog's crying, I'm gonna beat her. I didn't actually beat her, I just told her to get out of my room. I swear. They could listen in. Oh, one second. They would send them out to not only harm others and spread illness, but also report on what people were growing wise to the skinwalkers. This was where the belief that skinwalkers are not to be discussed comes from. They could listen in on your conversations and report back to the skinwalkers who commune with them, and then, using portals, show them where the offending individual lived. It was very important to the skinwalkers that most of their general populace knew precious little about them, their culture, their practices, and most importantly, their identities. Nowadays, of course, because skinwalkers isolate, protecting their identities was not as crucial, as anyone who saw their original forms would never be able to recognize them, as they were not members of the community. But John noted that there were select skinwalkers who would live alongside communities, and sometimes in them, as a way of feeding off other energies without directly frightening or stalking them. He told me a little story about this group of folk who lived near a weird old witch. This was back in the 1980s, I think. She would come into town but never buy anything from the stores or the markets or anything like that. Just walk around, stare at people. One day a guy and his wife went into the cities off the res for the weekend, and while at a restaurant, saw her looking through the window at them. So they were wondering how the fuck she got out there, and it scared the shit out of them, like she'd just lived in a Hogan and didn't even have a car. She ended up disappearing, and that night the wife had a dream that the old lady had gotten down on all fours and turned into a fucked up looking coyote. On their way back to the res the next evening, they saw what they thought was a wounded coyote on the side of the road. The husband was going to get out to see what was up, but the wife made him stop. The coyote was looking straight at her with the same stare that she saw in the old woman's eyes. It leapt up on its hind legs and ran off. According to John, the woman did not die of a random sudden illness. She simply left town, he believes, to go back to her local skinwalker community. However, the next day she was found not far from her Hogan, mauled by a pack of animals. Wolf bites, bear claw marks, and even evidence of being trampled by a horse were found on her corpse. When the authorities found the body, a local medicine man, whom John knew, instructed the police to say she died of an illness. He wanted people to remain unaware that a community of skinwalkers was in their midst, so no curious, stupid folks would go listening to them. My food is so cold right now. The red skinwalker is so fun. The friends we meet. Oh my god. No, she's not. She's just hungry. She's just mad because I have fish to eat and she doesn't have any. But yes, I am going to go and read someone out because my food is so cold. Holy shit. But yes, so let's go and find someone. Also, I'm sorry if you can hear my mom in the background shouting at my dog because she's freaking out. Let's have a look. Who do I wanna? Let's go. I would like to read. Lazy Susan is streaming Portal 2. Actually, I would like to read Bessie, if that's okay. So thank you for the spooky stories. Thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry that I'm sorry if it was a little bit boring or anything like that. I hope at least my voice was relaxing to listen to. But yes, I would like to read Bessie. She is starting soon with the original Legend of Zelda game. Should have prioritized eating. Probably. I'm very hungry. But yeah, Bessie is a wonderful VTuber. She's absolutely lovely, and she's a very charming Southern belle. So let's go and say hello to her. And she's just starting to play the original Zelda game, so that should be fun. But yes, thank you again. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, and I hope you guys have a great day, and thank you for hanging out with me, and bye bye. Thank you.